During the course of this project, we have examined malaria in the Peruvian Amazon. We have learned the benefits and disadvantages of both preventative and reactionary strategies. We have also tested the scope of our budget and come to terms with the fact that the efficacy of our budget has its limits. Thus, we have chosen an area to implement our plan. In this report, you will learn about the biology of the pathogen, the impact that malaria has in the Peruvian Amazon, and how we plan to act on preventing a future epidemic with the ultimate goal of eliminating the pathogen in Peru. The mortality rate has declined since the early 2000s due to the implementation of long-lasting insecticide-treated nets and indoor residual spray. However, there are still new cases of malaria, which is preventable if we target the vector of transmission, the mosquitoes, and not focus our resources on treating current patients.
Malaria is caused by a single-celled parasitic protozoan, Plasmodium, that infects two types of hosts, humans and females Anopheles mosquitoes. Mosquitoes and malaria live in commensalism. Malaria gains transportation and shelter from the mosquitoes, and the mosquito has little to no downside. However, the relationship between humans and malaria is parasitic. Although the malarial life cycle in humans is complicated, we're going to break it down with this handy video. Plasmodia enter the human body via the saliva of a female Anopheles mosquito when bitten. The protozoan will go through many stages during its life cycle, and at this point it is an uninoculated sporozoite. After entering the body, it quickly travels through the bloodstream into the liver, where it invades a parenchymal liver cell. Once inside the cell, the sporozoite matures into schizonts. Once the schizont has matured in the parenchymal liver cell, it bursts, releasing anywhere between 2,000 and 40,000 merozoites, which will go on to infect red blood cells. Once in the red blood cell, the merozoites can either mature into schizonts, which will burst and release more merozoites, furthering the infection, or mature into a gametocyte, which can enter another mosquito if an infected blood cell is sucked during feeding, which will continue malaria's life cycle. In the mosquito, the gametocytes develop in the gut and become gametes. Once fertilized, the gametes become sporozoites, and the mosquito can go on to affect more humans. Although the life cycle of malaria is a bit complicated, the pathogenesis is a little bit more straightforward. After the schizonts rupture the red blood cells, macrophages will recognize the non-self proteins from the malarial infection and trigger an inflammatory response with the release of cytokines. This begins the symptoms of a fever, chills, sweats, weakness, and etc. Invasion and rupture of red blood cells by malarial infection may also begin symptoms of anemia, loss of blood. During infection, red blood cells are being taken over at a greater rate than they can be replaced. This can cause symptoms like fatigue, dizziness, lightheadedness, and vomiting, which can lead to serious dehydration and death. Because the malarial protozoan goes through so many different stages, which all have their different antigens, it is extremely difficult for the human immune system to create memory cells that are effective at stopping the disease. Malaria goes through a variety of complicated processes that allow it to thwart the human immune system as well. Before recently, there has not been much hope of creating a preventative or reactionary vaccine. However, researchers in Seattle have been able to genetically modify a schizont, the first stage in which malaria enters the body, so that it cannot harm the human. However, they hope the immune system will create the proper memory cells to stop real infections.
In our course of treatment, we will focus on the region of Loreto, top right in red, by implementing vector control, a means of treatment in which the transmission medium, in this case the mosquitoes, becomes the center of the treatment with long-lasting insecticide-treated nets and indoor residual spray. We have chosen to use vector control and omit the treatment of existing patients with our budget because we believe we can eliminate malaria in the Peruvian Amazon through the prevention of future cases due to the nature of the pathogen's transmission. The Amazon Malaria Initiative will enable us to devote $52,000 USD to indoor residual spray and $48,000 USD to long-lasting insecticide-treated nets in 4 different municipalities of the Loreto region of the Peruvian Amazon. We have chosen these municipalities because our budget will enable us to introduce prophylaxis to more than 80% of the population between them, a critical number to reach in order to prevent future epidemics. The entirety of our budget has been devoted to vector control because, with the incidence rate below 2.9% of the population in the Loreto region in 2012, the prevention of a future epidemic, not curbing a current one, is the task at hand.
The Amazon Malaria Initiative's primary focuses are on the elimination of reemergence of malaria in the Amazon. AMI workers are bilingual, bridging the gap we would face if we attempted to distribute and help Peru's population ourselves. Working to bring communities' trust together to fight malaria is fully emphasized at the Amazon Malaria Initiative. We chose this organization as our vehicle to control Peru's malaria issue not only because they have effective prevention strategies, but also because they work personally within the communities they serve. They emphasize the use of vector control and prevention of disease transmission from infected to non-infected individuals. Our proposal focuses on both of these techniques, furthering our goal to inhibit the reemergence of malaria in Peru. The primary system of malaria prevention we are using are long-lasting insecticide-treated nets. At an average cost of $250 USD per net, long-lasting insecticide-treated nets are the most accessible and easily used method of prevention we found. LLITNs are highly efficient as they can cover up to 2 people at a time. The nets are dipped in synthetic insecticide that kills off the mosquitoes. Once distributed, the nets are placed over beds or resting areas, eliminating mosquitoes before they can bite and infect people. While preventing the infection of non-exposed people, they also prevent transmission of blood from infected humans from traveling onward. Our main method of vector control is indoor residual spraying. This method kills off infected mosquitoes before they have the chance to reproduce and carry the infection onwards. Lasting around 3 to 5 years, the insecticide rests on the walls of homes and community places, killing off the mosquitoes as they rest after a blood meal. While highly effective, this method needs full community cooperation, as it does not make much of a difference unless around 80% or more of the targeted area is sprayed. The chemicals used elicit minimal environmental damage. Human health will not be compromised while living in houses with IRS, as the chemicals are human-friendly. AMI will distribute the chemicals and ensure the usage within at least 80% of the communities in the Loreto region.